Hello, thank you for joining us. Happy 420, happy National High Five Day, and thank you for tuning in to yet another very powerful, very informative Facebook Live seminar. Hey, Kathy, we're glad that you guys are with us today, especially on National High Five Day. And it's so fitting that today is the day of our seminar because it gives me a chance to thank you, all of you, for being the heart and soul of our business. So I'm giving all of you a high five, all of you in every part of Ohio. Thank you for your continued business and support. Today, we have a guest speaker who is going to talk with us about a very, very important issue that will affect every closing from this day forward. He is the owner of Prodigy Title, a company that I've done business with for about 15 years. Great company out in Westchester. So Nick Perrino will be joining us. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, just to repeat the rules, we encourage everyone to ask as many questions as you would like. In fact, we'll be raffling off a free appraisal coupon for those who are chiming in, asking questions, interacting. Your names will be entered in a raffle whereby you can get a free appraisal if you come to the Tri-County Equity Resources branch to get your mortgage loan. So kick your shoes off, join us, ask questions, and we'll try to answer every question. Obviously, in our short time frame, we might not be able to hit every question. So I promise you that we will be looking at the live feed and reviewing it and following up with everyone who has asked a question today. So we have been talking about an assortment of very important topics. We have discussed credit repair a few times. We've talked about grant money. We've talked about picking a real estate team and what that means. Now today we're going to talk about a very hot topic, and I'm so glad, so relieved that I have an expert on the topic, because this is a rule that just came out this month, and it's I don't even know what to say about the rule. That's why we have an expert with us. From this point forward, if you are buying a house, you can't just go to your bank and get a cashier's check. You have to actually go to your bank long before the closing and have the bank wire the money to the title company. Now, as you can imagine, that's not the easiest task, because some banks are different. Some banks charge you to get this money wired. Some banks have a delay to get the money wired. So it's a complication, and we do have an expert who will be open to answering any question that you have. Hi, Kim. All right, so we're going to, without further ado, we are going to introduce Mr. Nick Perrino of Prodigy Title. Nick, are you with us? Oh, I have him muted. Okay, let's try that again. We have Mr. Nick Perrino of Prodigy Title with us. Are you with us, Nick?
Yes, sir. Johnathan Barber. How are you?
I am excellent, excellent, excellent now that we have our technology kinks worked out. Thank you for joining us tonight. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic myself.
Good, good. Well, again, thank you for taking time out of your evening to talk with everyone and to open yourself up to field questions. This is a very important topic, and we're glad that you are able to join us.
No problem at all.
Because you're the expert. So the first question, and I've kind of described a little bit about the rule, but why do buyers have to wire funds to the closing table now? Why is this an issue now?
Okay. Title agencies handle a lot of money, and we had a good funds law put in place originally years ago so that when we write checks, there's a very, very strong chance that our checks are always going to be good. And the reason we had the original good funds law put in place was because title agencies were asked to take checks over $1,000 as cashier checks, but it was only suggested that that was a safe way of doing business. this other title agency isn't adhering to that. They're taking personal checks still for $10,000 or $20,000. So if you don't want to do that, we'll send our business elsewhere. And it really forced title agencies to still accept personal checks from people for large amounts of money.
Wow. And
that was a very risky business. So they came up with a good funds law, which said, no, if we're getting checks, anything over $1,000 has to be a cashier check or a wire, which really helped out because now nobody has the option of taking business from somebody else by doing business improperly or in a way that's pretty risky.
Right.
So lately, and I'm going to say probably about 5 years ago, a scam came into place or really grew, and that was the cashier check scam. If you collect a cashier check, very few people realize if you deposit that check, if it's a bad check, it doesn't bounce immediately. It takes a long time to bounce. It can take over a week to show up as a bad or fake cashier check. And the people that were really good at the scams realized this delay. So what they were doing was sending very large fake cashier checks to title agencies for a closing. They acted like they were going to be a buyer. They acted like they were going to buy a nice sized property, and they would not be able to come into town. So they would just send the cashier check to the title agency. And then some catastrophe would happen. A family member would die. Something would happen in the closing. He had to be canceled. So they would immediately, within a day or two, after us receiving a cashier check that was bad, they would call and say, hey, we have to cancel the closing. Can you just wire us the funds back? And this happened to a bunch of title agencies. And we received a $299,000 bad cashier check.
Wow.
We realized the scam was going on, so we didn't deposit the check from this out-of-town buyer. We walked it to the bank. Once the bank put eyes on it, they were able to tell right away that it was a bad cashier check. But we were lucky we didn't have it deposit into the system with all the other checks, and therefore we were able to catch it right away. We didn't have that 7-day, 8-day bounce period. Mm-hmm. And we had already been told the people's daughter was very sick. She had been traveling. She was very sick. So I'm sure the scam was going to be, the daughter was going to die or something tragic, and they had to cancel the close. Can we wire the funds back? So we got very lucky. We caught ours. But because of that cashier check issue where it takes a long period of time to bounce, they said, okay, we're going to have to put legislation in place that says we can't take cashier checks any longer. We're going to just take wires. That way, if you get a wire, the money is there. Right. Somebody can't say the money's not there, or the money can't be pulled back if it's the correct kind of wire. And which is why you don't have these things called ACHs, mm-hmm. direct deposits, because those can be withdrawn. They can be pulled back. That's why you have the wire going through the wire system, the federal wire system, as a requirement. Okay? Once I receive a wire, I know I have that money. It's not going to be pulled back. So now the Good Funds Law is in place to prevent that cashier check scam. That's the whole purpose of it. They did one other thing, though. They said that we can't take another title agency check. And that was a little bit different. That title agency check was a personal check. It was not a cashier check. And a client could grab that check from one closing, bring it to another closing, and we would take it just as a courtesy, mainly because we figured if that title agency went out of business, we would talk to their underwriter and pray that they made it good. Okay? Right. So that's why we took other title agency checks as personal checks.
Wow. So it sounds like you're seeing this as a safer way to do business because of the previous fraud.
Correct. It is absolutely a safer way to do business. When we do a closing, now we know the money's in the account 100%, and we're not being scammed out of that money with a weird issue on a cashier check.
Today I had a closing for a lady who's probably watching us now. Very, very, very organized client. She actually knew exactly how much she needed because, of course, we got the CD out early. She had her money wired early. It was a very smooth, very easy transaction. Do you have any, I guess, advice for people who are buying a house now, including real estate agents, on ways where they could make things smooth and enjoyable throughout this new process?
For sure. The first thing that I want to tell everybody is, especially the realtors, you need to inform the client early. You need to get them prepared. You need to set their expectations up that this wire is a little bit more of a process, and it also has to be checked out or confirmed for safety purposes. I'm going to explain in a minute what that means. But inform the client that they need to get this process started a little earlier. If you have a 10 o'clock in the morning closing, don't expect to go to the bank at 9 and get a wire order. If you're closing in the morning, get the wire done the day ahead of time. If you have the opportunity, get the wire done the day ahead of time always, because that way we know the money will get there. Sending a wire is not like sending an email or a text. It's not an instantaneous thing. There are several factors built in that can cause big delays, and I've seen wires take 3, 4, or 5 hours from the time somebody orders it to the time it's received by our bank.
Wow.
And that delay can be a terrible issue if you try to get the wire done the same day you're doing a closing. You're going to now have a delayed closing, and that can be a major problem. You don't want that.
Right.
So set the expectation and make sure people are acting early. But the other thing is, there's a new scam involving wires where there are hackers getting into the email systems, and they are sending an email to clients, to the bank, to the title people that are fake wire instructions.
Wow.
And when you get an email from a realtor or from a title agent that says wire your money to this account, make sure you make a phone call to that person who sent you the email and confirm that they actually sent the email and check the information in that email. The hackers make the email look like it came from your realtor.
Wow.
They make the email look like it came from me, the title agent. These emails are great looking. They look perfect. They even include some of the conversation you've had on prior emails. They copy the whole email chain, and then they attach their fake wire instructions and email it to you. So the way to protect yourself is if you get any wire instructions, you pick up the phone, find a phone number for the title agency or for the realtor, independently from the email. Find an independent phone number and call to confirm the wire instructions. Don't ever send money without calling to confirm those numbers.
That is priceless advice. I mean, I'm hoping that everyone nationwide is paying very close attention to your advice, because that is a huge problem. That's a huge problem. And
it is, and it's very scary.
Yeah, and your advice is actually the way to solve it. So we really, really appreciate you taking the time to educate us on this issue. For those of you who haven't used Prodigy Title is incredible. And obviously I'm not getting paid to say this because I've used them for a long time, and they always do a great job for my clients. So call Nick Perrino, Prodigy Title, if you have any other questions on that particular issue. Nick, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you get some food and enjoy the rest of your evening, sir.
Hey, no problem, Jonathan. I hope you and everybody at Equity Resources continues to do a great job for the clients. We love doing your closings. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. Bye.
Yeah. So, guys, that was Nick Perrino. Wow. I didn't know about half of the stuff that he shared, and I'm encouraging all of you, take this video, forward it, share it, burn it on a CD, give it to strangers, let the whole world know about these scams that are going on. If you know anyone who's interested in purchasing a home, make sure they know this information. Most of my clients purchase homes with no money down, so they actually come to the table and get cash. But a small percentage, like the nice lady who closed today, actually need to wire the money. So let's get the word out. Let's protect each other. Let's high five each other. Let's love each other. And thank you so much for tuning in. And we look forward to the next Facebook conversation. Have a great day.